In front of us is a 2022 version of Omega Seamaster 300, now in the new green color. I know that some people in Europe were enjoying access to this watch months ago. Here in Canada though, Omega Boutique just received them this week. In fact, they also just received Planet Ocean 6000 and the new Aquaterras. Be sure that reviews of all of those models are coming in the near future. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss them when they do come out. And a big thank you to Vancouver Omega Boutique for hooking me up and letting me borrow these watches for a review. Now let's get something out of the way. This 2022 version of the Seamaster is not really that much different from your standard Omega Seamaster 300 models that already existed. In fact, the only real difference is the color combination. I've seen some people online criticize Omega for this, but I think these criticisms aren't entirely fair. Rolex does this all the time. They release the same model with the new color combination and the fanboys lose their minds. So why can't Omega do the same? In person, this new green color looks awesome. It's vibrant, but not too in your face, if you know what I mean. I actually prefer this green color combination, the bezel and the dial, over the bezel and the dial color combination on Rolex Hulk. It would be very tempting to say that this is a great Rolex alternative, but the truth, it's not. It's not a Submariner alternative by any means. If you want a Submariner, get a Submariner. I don't think this will fill that void. This watch has its own identity. Let's run through some quick specs. First, it has a diameter of 42 millimeters. It's about 50 millimeters from one lug to another. It has a lug opening of 20 millimeters and it's about 13.5 millimeters thick. The case and the bracelet, if you choose to go for a bracelet version, are made out of stainless steel. The crystal is sapphire crystal with double coating, so it has air coating on the inside and on the outside of the crystal. Water resistance is 300 meters, as the name would suggest. The movement is the Omega Caliber 8800 coaxial automatic movement. And the price is $5,700 on the bracelet or about $5,400 on the rubber strap. The case finishes are executed well. We see alternating polished and brushed patterns. The case is classic Omega with those half-turned lugs. I actually own a distant relative of this watch, the Omega Seamaster Golden Eye as it's known, and it's one of my favorite diver watch designs ever. There are of course quite a few differences between the modern Seamaster and the one from the 90s, but only a few that I should point out. One of the biggest and most obvious differences are bezel materials. My 90s Omega Seamaster has an aluminum bezel insert. This new modern Omega Seamaster has a ceramic bezel insert, and I think this one in particular looks great. I love the shade of green that they chose for this ceramic bezel. I find that a lot of green ceramic bezels camouflage themselves really well, and this one is no different. In a darker environment, let's say you wear this watch out for dinner in a dimly lit room, you would be excused to think that this is actually the black version of the watch and not a green one. That's how dark this green gets in low light situations. Speaking of wearing the watch, another difference between the 90s version and this modern Seamaster is the size. My old Seamaster is 41 millimeters in diameter. The modern Seamasters are about 42 millimeters in diameter. I think this change is more of a change in specs on paper than the actual noticeable difference. On the wrist, the watch looks and feels great. I think it wears about the same as my 41 millimeter diameter one does. 42 millimeters scares off some guys, especially guys with smaller wrists. I think this one is still a big watch, but it's not overpowering. If you have a medium-sized wrist, I think you can pull this one off no problem. My wrist size is roughly about 7.5 inches, and I think it looks just right. And if I had a bit of a smaller wrist, I think it would still look quite good. Now, usually I recommend people get watches on stainless steel bracelets, especially sports/diver watches. Not exactly the case here. If I were buying this watch, I would still buy it on the bracelet. However, this rubber strap is really, really nice. First of all, it's soft and comfortable. It's of a great quality. Of course, you would expect that. It's an Omega rubber strap. I think the color of the strap works really well with this watch, and I also like how functional it is on the rubber strap. You also get your choice between the two different clasps. You can get an old school tank buckle or a newer deployment clasp. Actually, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know which one out of the two you prefer. Looking at this green version of the Seamaster next to the blue one, you can clearly see the color differences. I'm actually surprised to admit that I prefer the green one over the blue one. Usually, I'm all for blue dial watches. They just go much better with everything. And I think that's one of the big negatives to notice and mention about this green color. If it's gonna be your only watch, I wouldn't recommend it because it's much harder to pair with different outfits. If you go for the blue one, it pretty much goes with everything. The green one might clash with some outfits, but if it's not your only watch in a collection, I think you will really, really enjoy that green color. Whichever one you choose, the green one or the blue one, or even the black one for that matter, they all come with the same movement. Automatic caliber 8800 coaxial movement. Now this is a pretty cool movement. It has some positives, it has some negatives. For the positives, it's a 35 joule high beat movement beating at 25,200 vibrations. Kind of an odd number, but it's about 3.5 hertz. It has a power reserve of 55 hours. So that I find to be a bit of a negative. Now don't get me wrong, 55 hours is still quite a bit, but we are starting to see quite a few different watches from competing brands offering 70 plus hours of power. So 55 hours could be bumped up, and I would like to see that improved in the future versions of this watch. However, unlike the competition, this movement is COSC and METAS certified. It's a little bit more accurate. It also is held to a higher standard because it's tested cased as opposed to uncased. It also has much greater electromagnetic resistance. It's just overall a more solid movement, on top of it being actually a pretty good looking movement. And a little bonus, you can see it through a sapphire caseback. Unlike a lot of the competition, I'm looking at you, Rolex and Tudor. Overall, I liked this green Seamaster more than I thought I would. I think the value proposition and the watch itself are very attractive. However, if you disliked the helium escape valve or the design on the older Seamaster 300 models, I don't think this one is gonna win you over. It's just more of the same. On the other hand, if you are a fan of Omega Seamaster 300 diver watches, you will really enjoy this one. It's more of the same, just in a new, fresh color, and I think the color combination they nailed. Needless to say, I'm a fan of these watches, and I'm glad that this watch exists. Is it a perfect watch? No, but for that $5,000 price tag, it's just nice to see another option being offered. Thank you for watching this review all the way until the end. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, we release new videos every week, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this green Seamaster. Do you like it? Are you picking one up? Do you prefer other color combinations? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I always enjoy reading your comments. By the way, thank you for all of your nice comments about me being back. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be making videos again. Bond and I are doing great. We're gonna feature him in some videos coming up very soon. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.